Hi, welcome to Restrocast. Today, my guest is Mazen Kanaan. He's the CEO of House of Pops. This is not a typical restaurateur's conversation. This is an F&B operator who, works at the intersection of food and retail. An ex-Unilever sales and marketing person, spent a decade plus, starts running and managing ice cream for certain markets. And what pops out of his head is a popsicle. In his words, House of Pops is a happy brand, a brand where they're selling happiness not only to kids but also to adults. In last 5 years, what has come out of Mazen and his co-founder, who's also his wife, of this couple's hard work, is worth appreciation. And the story, what makes this story great, is that the story is still in the building. It's still in the works. I loved my conversation with Mazen because there was something very thoughtful about how they are building this brand, how the business of Popsicle is not just about popsicles, but it's really about the customer experience and how are they replicating this experience across various touch points. There are also a few nuggets of how to recruit a co-founder, making her a girlfriend and then a wife and also a business partner. I found Mazen's candor really, really, great and worth emulating. Do watch. Welcome to Restrocast. Mazen, welcome to Restrocast.
Thank you.
House of Pops. I think the brand looks fun, and as you said off camera, you're having fun as well. But before we dive into the fun, I want to know how it all started, and most importantly, where did you start from? Tell me about your early years.
Sure. So originally I come from Lebanon. I studied economics and finance there. And then I started my corporate journey in F&B with Unilever. I traveled to Saudi Arabia in 2006 and I worked for a good 13 years with them.
13 years?
Yes, 13 years. Between Saudi Arabia and then I moved to Turkey and then I came back to Dubai. So everything I know is from Unilever. And then in the last 8 years, I was handling the ice cream business for Unilever. And at that time, I found there is a gap in the market for something that is tasty but also healthy. At that time, 5 years ago, there is, and it's continuing till now, this health and wellness trend. You can see it everywhere, in clothing, in vacations, in food, and especially in the snacks. Like you go to those supermarkets or petrol stations, you will see the keto cookie, the protein brownies, the biscuits enriched with different ingredients. But once you go to the ice cream section, you will find all the regular, traditional, high fat, high sugar products. So there is a demand for health and wellness product, but there is an issue in the supply in the ice cream. So given my background in the ice cream, given the gap in the market, I thought that could be a golden opportunity.
Why did you how did you see that gap?
Because
Like, what was the insight on the ground where you felt that, hey, you know what, there's a
just because in Unilever, I was responsible for the ice cream in this part of the world. And we used to go to market visits. And then whenever you enter into any supermarket, you go around the shelves, checking what's new. And I kept seeing like new health and wellness snacks and bars popping up. And after I finish my tour, I come to the ice cream to check our products. I mean, there's nothing there. So it is really an insight from the market during my market visits.
I'm really, yeah, I mean, these kind of insights are, quite amazing. I was speaking to somebody a couple of days back. Have you heard of this company called, this brand called Celsius? No,
No.
it's in the US. So these guys, very recently, like in a year or two, maybe I mean, yeah, it has to be this much. They came out with an energy drink
Mm-hmm.
which is healthy
Okay.
and for women,
Oh, well.
and they're killing it right now.
Oh, is it?
Killing it is an understatement, actually. The stock price is going through the roof. Celsius is everywhere. It's a women centric, healthy energy drink. Who might have thought?
Wow.
And
Look
the
at this niche.
insight, and when I was talking to the analyst, I was like, what was the insight? He said the insight was that while Red Bull is unhealthy, you know, women were not drinking it.
Mhm.
Because I asked him, I said, what do you mean by energy drink for women? Like, what
Yeah.
does that mean? And he's like, women did not relate to Red Bull, you know, and it was quite clear that women were not, you know, drinking that. I was like, but there is a sugar-free Red Bull.
Yeah.
He said, yes, but the point is that women were not drinking Red Bull.
Mm.
And when that gap was found, because, you know, when you're partying out or whatever you're doing, the other half of the population was missing from the addressable market.
That's true.
They were rejecting it.
That's
And
true.
then they picked it up and boom. I mean, I'm still trying to get my head around the insight, but
Yeah.
the fact that these guys are flying off the shelf.
But I'll tell you
amazing.
one thing that I could relate to that, because people don't consume products, they consume brands and experiences and associations. So while there is a sugar-free energy drink, but for them Red Bull does not really talk to them as a brand. And when you hold your iPhone or when you drive your Harley Davidson, it's much more about the experience and the
Correct.
association and what it tells about
Correct.
you. Even when you hold a Starbucks cup, you know, it's kind of a status. So that's, I think, the basis of the insight. And then also it reminds me of a beautiful book that I'm very fond of. It's called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. So they will tell you that, like, if you look at this region, Pepsi is the number one, Coca-Cola is the number two, but globally, Coca-Cola is the number one.
Correct.
And the main differentiation, or what led to this, is that Pepsi were the first here. So it's better to be the first than to be the best. That is one of their laws. And then the second, it says that if you are not able to be the first, try to be the first in a subcategory. And I think this is exactly what they have built in. Okay, energy drinks, it's already Red Bull is there. How can I, okay, there is a group of people, they are not consuming it. How can I be the first to tackle this opportunity? And here you go. They are
Yeah,
doing
quite
wonders.
you're right. Quite a way to subcategorize and catch attention.
Yeah.
But Mazen, what were 13 years of Unilever? I want to know, you know, where did you start from? And
Yes.
what were those years like? What were you doing on ground? How were you roughing it out?
Sure. Initially, actually, that's a funny story how it started, because we're talking a bit about the person and a bit less on the business. So when I finished my studies in Lebanon, I was granted the Fulbright scholarship to go and continue my studies in the US, and it's a very competitive scholarship by the I think the Ministry of Education or something like this in the US, to continue doing economic development. And then at the same time, I got an offer from Unilever. And then I thought, okay, where do I want to continue my life? Do I want to go into the corporate world, or going more into the United Nations, World Bank, those kind of things? And I got really excited by the brand world and how you can build brands and experiences, etc. So I decided to take the Unilever offer, and I dropped the Fulbright scholarship. So initially I moved to Saudi Arabia. I was around 21, 22 years old, and I started working on the food category, on Knorr.
Like you were, but what was your role? Marketing?
Initially I started in sales. All right, in sales.
I would
did-
assume that.
Yes, I was recruited for sales. So more of planning in the head office. And then I did 1 year like that, and then I moved the second year to Riyadh, and I was managing Carrefour as a key account manager on behalf of Unilever, selling the entire portfolio. And then everything changed in the fourth year actually, when there was an opening on Lipton in the marketing department. And this is where people can make, and life can like take you into different opportunities by luck or by, interference of some key people. So I had zero experience in marketing. I worked for 3 years in sales, and Lipton is the biggest brand for Unilever at that time. And then because I have worked well with the F&B team, they found that I could, or they thought I have a high potential to be a good marketeer. So they offered me the position of brand manager for Lipton. I was 24 years old, and for me it was like something very impressive, to be able to handle such a mega brand in a key country at that age. So I took the challenge, and we did well. So I worked for 3 years. So 3 years in sales, 3 years in marketing on Lipton.
What's that role like? Like, what do you mean by a brand manager for
Hello.
Lipton in Unilever? What does
Good.
it mean?
So marketing in Unilever at that time is split into two different roles: brand building and brand development. Brand development is more about innovating the product, bringing new flavors, driving communication, product innovation. Brand building is taking this campaign from the central team. Let's say they sit in Turkey. For example, if let's say this year Lipton is communicating about clarity of the mind. What is clarity of the mind for the Saudi consumers? How would they understand it? What is the thing that I can do for them to get the message? So I adapt the regional campaign to the local context, and I do activation in relevant places, etc. So really understanding the local consumers and how I can connect with them. This is how we build the brand.
And how much of that is controlled by Lipton as well?
By the central team.
Yeah.
So it depends. Depends on the brand. The bigger the brand, the more control you have.
Sure.
The smallest, the more flexibility. That was controlled to an acceptable, let's say, a good extent. But because Saudi Arabia is a key market for Lipton globally, before they conclude the campaign, they would take our inputs. All right. But mainly my job was brand building. And then after that, for 3 years, I moved to Turkey to handle a brand development role for ice cream in Turkey. So there, it was a different experience. I was working on the local brands that are in Turkey because they have the Magnum, the Cornetto, but they have also some local brands where you have much more...
Still with Unilever.
Still with Unilever. Right. And then this is where I had to develop new products.
But why did that happen? Like, why Turkey also? Like,
good point. So they wanted to extend the ice cream distribution of Unilever in GCC because they launched several times before and it failed. So they wanted to have another attempt. So they said, okay, let's recruit someone from the region to go into the regional office in Turkey and manage the expansion plan in that region. Especially they had big plans for Saudi Arabia. So the closest to ice cream in Unilever portfolio is the F&B, which is Lipton. And because I was handling there, so I had high chances. So this is where I moved. And we start working there, developing new campaigns, shooting new commercials, developing new products. And after 3 years, the expansion plan materialized. And then they needed someone to manage now the business in the region. So I came back to Dubai, and I was managing this expansion, entering new countries, managing a team between sales, marketing, trade marketing, etc., across Middle East and North Africa. And this is where I spent another 3 years before getting out.
What's the business of ice cream? What's the nuance in the business of ice cream?
In what sense?
Like supply chain, manufacturing, how difficult, how easy.
Okay.
Like how do you look at how did you discover the business of ice cream, to feel, hey, you know what, I can do this?
Yeah. So initially, you need to have, I think, a bit of foolishness in order to start this endeavor. Because if you really want to say, okay, you know what, I want to start an ice cream business, and you start thinking the product, the supply chain, the capex, the profitability, you'll say, okay, I can't do that. So, but at some point, the excitement of having your own business just takes over everything else.
I think entrepreneurship is really about optimistic stupidity.
Yeah,
There
exactly.
there is no other way. I mean, it's funny that you said what you said, right? Because you know this company called Nvidia,
Yes, of course.
one of the largest chip maker in the world, the graphic accelerators.
Now they are doing wonders now.
Correct. Recently, and if you know
Because of
this,
the
it's great,
crypto.
right? So recently they went up again because the new AI chip,
Yes.
much powerful, devices. So the founder of Nvidia continues to be at the hem of the things. It is one of those multi-$100 billion founder-run company. So he was recently asked in an interview that with what you know today,
What do you have
if you
started?
know, no, if you know that exactly. So interviewer was asking something else. That if you know, with what you know today, if you knew this 30 years back, how would Nvidia have shaped? He said, if I knew what I know today, I would have never started this.
Yeah.
Interviewer was shocked, right? Because this is a legend speaking, and interviewer then again interjected and said, no, oh, come on. I mean, like you were saying, you wouldn't have started. He said, well, you know what? No matter what we are doing, the fact that if I knew 30 years back, the amount of pain, mental pressure, humiliation, crests and troughs, the roller coaster that I'm going to have, the personal price that I'm going to pay to just be on this journey, if I knew it, I'll be absolutely out of my mind to start this. And I was watching this and I was like, you know what? I hear you. I mean, I know that he doesn't mean it in the true sense. Bugger
to
would have still
communicate
done
the
that.
message, yes.
But I think it's that
No, but that's
that
so
stupidity
true.
is real.
That's true. So yeah, so ice cream. I mean, of course, there's like good things in it. So it has higher barriers to entry than other food products because it's a cold chain. So let's say if I wanted to launch a new tea brand, so okay, I can get the tea from somewhere. I can do packing, and then if I go to the supermarket. Let's say if I listed, the merchandisers can push a bit the tea packs like this, maybe to the coffee, make a space and then put it. For ice cream, no, there is a confined space that you cannot even push because there is a freezer. So from that thing, also the supply chain is expensive. You need refrigerated trucks. You need to have high capex. So those are challenging, but I'm happy to operate in this category because not everyone would be able to enter. So there is a higher.
You don't see
Not
ice
every day
cream
you
brands
pick up.
coming like every day.
Yeah. But I think like a bar or a cookie, like you can find it very easily in any kitchen. They can do that. Another part which I think is extremely good, which is not what I learned from Unilever, and this is something very related to House of Pop specific, is the multi-channel touch points that you can have. And this is very unique. And also, it always, I used to amuse myself saying this when, for example, we do a lot of events and you see, let's say, those burger trucks, and there is like a lot of people there. And it hurts you, because when you are having something, you go to an event, you want to sell the most. And if there is not like a huge queue, you hate everyone, this competitive thinking. But then I used to tell myself that this burger place can, it has his own shop. He can do events. He cannot go to the supermarket. He would not be able to, let's say, to go to, let's say, schools, for example, where we are doing. So in our model, we operate around 7 channels. We have our own shops. We service the hotels, restaurants, cafes. We do events. We do catering. We do online. We are present in the supermarkets. We do schools. So there is a lot of touch points that wherever you go, you can be faced by that. Some products are only either in a restaurant or some other products are only in the supermarkets. But the nice thing about ice cream is that it has really several channels and a lot of touch points. And I think the most fun part is that it is a fun product. I've never seen someone crying and eating ice cream. And this reflects also on the culture and on the people
It's a
that
happy
work
product.
with us. Yeah, it's a happy product. Like you're proud. On top of that, you're proud because it's good, natural, healthy. But also it's a happy product, and it reflects on the way we communicate and we are in the company.
Do you do your own manufacturing, or is it contracted?
No, we do our own manufacturing. Initially, when we started in Kiwen in a small one, 100 square meters. And it was funny because there, when we wanted to start, we got a capex, or the first machinery we got were from China. They costed us $1,500 and $1,500 to ship them. So this is how we started with $3,000. And then because we needed a license if we want to supply to hotels. So why we wanted to supply to hotels? Maybe yes, this also is a funny story. When we thought there is an opportunity in the market, we said, okay, before we start doing it, let's check with like potential customers. So I knew some people in the hotel. So we went with my wife. She was my girlfriend, now then fiancée. Now she's my wife. And we went, I remember, to one of the hotels, and we met the buyer. And we impersonated like we have an ice cream business. And you tell them, we have this, etc.
Oh, you had nothing.
We had nothing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and told them, okay, will you be interested? Said, yeah, this is really interested, whatever. And then he sent us email. Please send me samples. We told them we are just shifting now the factory, and we'll come back to you in 2 months. So we did this for 2-3 times, and there was there is demand for a concept like that. So in order to service the hotels, you need to have a location, HACCP, whatever. So we took this 100 square meter in Kiwen. But then it was huge. 100 square meters for us was huge initially. And to get HACCP, you need to have the production under some cover.
100 square meter is huge.
Yes, to start is huge. And we don't need. We have, let's say, 3-4 machines next to each other to do. So, and then to get the certification of the HACCP, you need to have a closed environment so that if something falls, it doesn't. And then this would need a lot of construction. And we looked into the warehouse, and the typical warehouses, they have an office when you enter on the right, 6 square meters. We said, we can start there. So we started there. It's already covered.
Yeah.
And we started there, and and then we moved outside the office to the main thing. We started developing. But in April 2022, so after
When did
4
you start, by the way?
So we opened the factory on 1st of April 2018, and the first pop we sold was in September 2018. So after 4 months, something like this. And then from September 2018 to April 2022, we stayed in Kiwen, so around 4 years, a bit less. And then we moved then to Jabal Ali Industrial. Now we have a 700 square meters facility, 7,000 square feet. And yeah, it's like really proper. We have ISO, FSSC 22000, all the certification. It's a boutique factory. It's not huge, but it is really, and it's, for example, allergen free, because a lot of the allergen free products you will see has been manufactured in a facility that contain traces, etc. We don't need to put that because no allergens enter into the factory, like no milk, no nuts, nothing. So it's really maintained in a way that fits the brand.
How did the market respond when you started, especially the retail side of it? And I think this is partially another curiosity point. Is your Popsicle, or it's the ice cream that you're doing, did you do something different in the product packaging? Is it at Carrefour? Is it being let's say, or any modern retail? Is it being served the traditional style where there's somebody standing at a with a refrigerator counter, or is there something that you got an opportunity to change?
So if we talk about the supermarkets, no, you can find it in the freezer. We do some point of sale material to mention the brand, but we do some sampling, and we bring our bike, so we do some activation there. But we don't sell directly like we do in the shops outside, in the kiosks outside. But what's different in our product compared to the rest of the products available are 3 things: purity, wellness, and sustainability. So it's made of 4 or 5 ingredients only, compared to 30 ingredients, 90 numbers in the traditional ice cream, rich in fibers, we don't use any coloring, any preservatives, etc. And a big thing is on the sustainability part, because, and that's a funny story, when we were, the first time we started selling in the ripe market, a farmer's market here. And then after a couple of weeks, we were approached by a customer, and she told us, listen, I love what you are doing. It's great that you don't use refined sugar, etc. But I would rather you use sugar than use this plastic packaging, because you are polluting everywhere, etc. And it was an eye-opener for us. And this is the importance, again, to be facing at the front face of the thing.
Sure.
And then we said, okay. So then we started doing some research, and we ended up changing all our packaging from plastic to compostable packaging that we import from Italy. It's made from plant starch. And yeah, it's compostable, and we are the only ice cream using it. Even in the supermarket.
Is it like, what is it? Is it like biodegradable plastic?
It's compostable, yes. So
compostable
it is
plastic, right?
No, it's made from plant starch. It is made from bioxyly oriented polylactic acid, BOPLA. So it can be composted, and it cost us a lot, but yeah.
But it feels like plastic?
It feels like plastic, but it gives a lot of sound. Like you can feel it's not plastic, but if you don't touch it, you'll see it's plastic. It's exactly the same.
I think I've seen
but
this.
The touch is like you will feel some yeah. So this is where the consumer helped us evolve also the brand. So we say that we have now a brand which is natural inside out. Even we took the extra mile. The short and the shirts of our promoters are made from recycled plastic bottles. The gas we use have low global warming potential. So we take a lot of initiative.
How do you, I mean, this is all beautiful, Mazen. I mean, this is amazing actually. But how do you, as a business, and this is more like on the commercial side, right? We all wonder at the end of the day that, hey, we're spending not only so much money, but, you know, there's so much aspiration going on there. Mm-hmm. You're also spending so much effort. There's so much detailing in making sure everything is biodegradable, sustainable, clean. Do you think that your customer cares?
Yes, of course they care.
How do you know?
They care. We can see it from the way they interact on social media, their comments, their advocacy. You know, we see people believing in whatever we are doing, supporting us. I think these days, it's very difficult to win in a market as competitive as the UAE if you don't stand for something. And you need to be super sharp. And this is what we try to do. They care about health and wellness. You can see them a lot in the supermarket when they pick the product, they read the back of pack. And they would be very happy to understand what they are reading. Like in our chocolates, if they turn, they will see organic coconut milk and cream, vegetable fibers, organic agave, and water. All right, so this is something that they would really understand. So yeah, they do care about it. Sometimes you are one step ahead. Like no one would know what's R290 as the gas, but we don't really. I always believe it's good to be one step ahead, so that ultimately, if regulation changes, etc., we are already there. Now the ban of single-use plastic. You know, yeah. We started before that. You never know; it might be taxed. So we are future-proof from that aspect. And the consumer is more educated these days.
But
and
does
more
consumer
curious.
pay a premium for that?
Okay, so they pay. So at the end, the most important part is the taste. All right. So if you don't have a good taste, even promise the world, they will not consume. But once you deliver on a good product, those additional things, yes, they mean to them. Now, if I want to go purely commercial, maybe. So I'll give you an example. If we use plastic, I don't think our sales will drop. All right, in the short term, and I think we'll make more margin. But then at the end, we are in this for the long term, and all those are investment in the brand. And when people, like we talked about association, when they feel good about themselves that they are consuming something which is compostable, they are not polluting. This, in a way, turn into the advantage on the brand, and on the long term, it will be beneficial.
How do you educate them that this is compostable?
So social media is our number one social platform.
You talk about these things a lot.
Of course, we have a lot of posts about it. And we talked about, yes, it's compostable. In the brief of the promoter, when people approach our kiosk, when you are spending time to look which flavors, there is something there is a brief that they will mention that this is compostable. In schools, we do education because we are also available in the schools. So there is a lot of different touch points that go into that. We are, for example, having 3 locations in COP28, and this is one of the primary thing that's driving. We are. So we build on all the sustainability year. It was this year is the year of sustainability, and our packaging couldn't be fitting more this, so that we drive a lot of awareness and communication around that.
Let's talk about the customer experience, and I think in the F&B and especially your kind of product, which is a happy product, as we said, customer experience is important. Now your customer, and this is my assumption or question, popsicles are consumed in our heads. The picture is always for kids,
Correct.
but I suspect that adults consume that more than the kids. And also the paymaster is the adult anyway, right? Kid is
The
not.
gatekeeper, we call them.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly right. So they're the ones who are actually giving you the money. How do you look at customer experience at House of Pops? What is your definition of, if I had to send someone to House of Pops, what is it that they're going to experience right from the start till the end? How do you describe that experience, and what are the touch points?
Great. So this is a lot of scientific, let's say, backed initiatives to drive this experience and to drive conversion. So ultimately, House of Pops, it's all about health and wellness, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. So it's not like a Panadol. It's not like a drug. If someone is sick, you eat this. We don't want to be there. It's a lifestyle brand. So we have 2 target groups. We have the mom, who is the gatekeeper for the kids, and we have the singles, the people who are between 18 to 24, who look after themselves. They want to consume something which fits their lifestyle. So the way we communicate now, we're going to also launch a new campaign early next year. It will be about the lifestyle aspect of the ice cream, people in their day-to-day life doing things they like, and then consuming the product. So we drive two levels. One is about the functional part, and another one which is the lifestyle part. Now, in terms of the experience, when you approach the stand, first, this colorful canopy is becoming kind of a trademark for us, and people can notice it from a long distance.
How do you train your people to be excited about something like this? Because I think that's the number one challenge the industry in general has, which is training of its people. And why I asked you, how do you define the experience, which you did beautifully. The problem is that the experience lies at the hands of our frontline soldiers, the ones who are actually manning the booth. How do you make sure, and how do you measure it, if at all?
So the only factor that we cannot control in our business is the promoter, because the product is pre-packed.
Yeah.
So it's not like, we have a burger station and I need to make sure they put enough salt, etc. The kiosk is already there, built. The single factor that can drive high sales or lower sales is the promoter. So they are great assets for us. So we only recruit people who are happy, who can, have a high-pitched voice. They can be singing. We have some that they dance. If you go to JBR, Joseph, for example, and in the afternoon, you'll see him dancing, and people would start dancing with them, etc. So this is first in the recruitment. Second, they go through a thorough induction. They visit the factory. They understand everything about the brand, because also we are selling a functional benefit, and people need to understand what they are buying. So we train them on the product, and we train them a lot on the selling techniques. So the entire pitch, from attracting people, what do I do while they are looking at the flavors, what to suggest flavors, it's all documented, because also we have a franchise business part. So we have an operation manual, more than 150 pages that detail. We call it the journey of impulse selling, because it's a totally different approach to regular selling. And everything we put in this document, and it's extremely valuable, from the greeting to how you serve them, to what kind of bestseller to suggest, to up trading, to closing, to to asking them to take the loyalty card, to follow us on Instagram. So there is really a very strong process. And on top of that, we have a mystery shopper. So we pay an agency to come because, they know me. After some point, they know me. And if someone is not active, he sees me coming 30 meters ago, he'll start jumping, natural ice cream, whatever. So it would not work. So there is a mystery shopper program. They will come and they will ask them about the product, etc. And there will be a score and they get raised and they get benefits if they get a high score. So we're extremely careful on this one.
This is brilliant. I wanna double click on the mystery shopper piece. How many? So before we get into that, how many locations do you have today? For your own.
So we have around 20. Some of them are ongoing. Some of them are seasonal, 6 month. So around 20 different locations we have in UAE.
And so how many mystery shopping? Like how many mystery shops?
So every 2 weeks to 1 month, they will get one visit. The idea is
so 1 to 2
per month per location.
Per location per month.
Yes. So the idea is more that they know that they are being audited. If you put a camera, even if it is not working, it does 70% of the job.
Yeah.
So and then some people get 100% because it's very difficult to get 100 because you need to welcome all the what we call perfect store. Everything is being ticked. If you get 100, you come to the head office.
But
we take a picture.
This is done scientifically. Is it a part of your process?
Yes,
or
yes.
Do you do it because there's a new store?
No. Even for our franchisees, we offer this service. Because at the end, if you see House of Pops, it's House of Pops, a franchise or our own shops. So we are very careful about
how are people incentivized or...
So if they don't get a good score, then, we inquire what's happening. You need to adjust. We need maybe to retrain them, etc. And if they get a high score, they come to the head office and we celebrate them in front of everyone. We take picture. We said that, you have done great. This is also impacts their bonus at the end of the month. There is one part allocated to that. So
have you had any story where, somebody with a low mystery shopping score finally figured that, oh shit, somebody's watching and changed?
Yes. Usually,
or you had to fire somebody.
No, we never reach to that because so sometimes they are unlucky because you might have a bad day, and then at the end someone comes. You might not tell him welcome to House of Pops. If you don't say welcome to House of Pops, you lose a point.
Yeah.
While we understand there is a human factor, but at the end, if you want to run a company, you start understanding you cannot really deliver. But usually we don't get very low scores. But we get, for example, 70, 75. Then we talk to them. And then, we usually always see a jump back. Because the system is pretty simple. It's not that complicated. You just need to follow those steps.
How do you listen to your customers? What are the listening channels? Where are you? How do you know what your customers are saying? And I'm for both. At a brand level, I can... While I'm curious, but at a brand level, I can still imagine that collectively, it may come to you, from a lot of channels. But at a store level also, do you obsess over that? And how do you listen to it? How do you measure?
So that's a very good question. And we are very keen on, the brand was built by us being present in front of the customer. And we don't want to lose that while growing. So we have this program called CCC, Consumer and Customer Connect. Every person in the head office, from myself, my co-founder, the management team, they need to work to go for a market visit every week for 3 hours, and it's documented. And everyone sitting in the head office, we are around 25, they need to work 1 shift per month in the shops or next to a driver or visiting with the salesman into the restaurants. And they would document their visit and they will post picture. Because it's very easy to disconnect because you are too busy working on an Excel sheet.
You run 1 shift every month?
Every month I run 1 shift. The last shift I've done was on Kite Beach. We just have the hawking program. And we got approval to do hawking. So I went with Marcella and we have a nice big ice cream, oversized ice cream. And then we started doing the sales. So that you understand I mean, how heavy is it? Is he able to run for 6 hours, 7 hours? And then you see also people giving you feedback on the products. We ask them, is it the first time? No, I know it. I have done this. I have been there. So it's very important that we're staying connected, but we do it in an institutional way, in a structured way, because otherwise it would not last. It would be just a burst of excitement.
So
But you can see the calendar of each one of the management team, the market visit and the shifts are scheduled.
Brilliant. How do you like? What do you do when you get a bad review or bad feedback?
So
And mostly, what is the channel of bad news for you?
yeah, the channel where we get the most bad reviews in terms of percentage of contribution is the social media. People would post, it is too expensive, it's not worth it, you know. So when we get bad reviews like this, we try to reach out and we explain that, you know, we don't use sugar, we use, for example, organic agave, we don't use e-numbers, we use high percentage of fruit, we don't use preservatives, we don't use plastic. So we explain to them, but at the end you cannot really satisfy everyone. You get my point. As long as we monitor the brand scores from awareness perspective, brand equity perspective, so we run it every year. As long as we are driving things in the right way, we are confident that we are doing a good job. We don't really stress from one bad review. There should be kind of a consistency in that for us. But so far, it's very minimal. And seeing the business growing and the repeat order, etc., this shows us that we are doing the right thing.
Mazen, how's the journey been at a personal level? You know, you started your business in 2018. This is still very, very recent, and I think COVID also happened in between, right? So, I mean, I would rather say that COVID just accelerated the journey by 1.5 years for everyone, right?
True.
So that made your 5 years even technically shorter, right?
True.
How has it been personally? You know, what are the highs and what are the lows?
So we talked a lot about the excitement part of it, but it was not easy at all. Especially one thing that makes it even more complicated, that my co-founder is my wife. All right. I mean, it's great, but at the same time, there
Yeah.
are some challenges that come with
sure.
that, because we built this from scratch, and the first initial days were not easy for her. Actually, what happened is that after I left Unilever and I started this business with her, it required a lot of investment because of capex. So I then got another interim job for another 3 years. Meanwhile, double hatting between the ice cream and this new job. And I
So
was
2018 to 2021.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
2019 to 2021, 2022, initially of 2022. And yeah, whatever I was making, I was like throwing there. And at that time, my wife was driving the business on the ground. And for example, like we all recall those initial days where she would use to drive the truck herself to the factory, load it, bring it back. And this had a toll on our relationship, because we had just started the relationship and immediately started the business. So all this bling part of Dubai was not part of the equation. For 3 years, we were working nonstop. We barely traveled. Of course, this we consider like a first world problem, not traveling. But when you are in Dubai, when you are in your early 30s,
And you also have Instagram, and you're watching everyone.
Exactly. So this is part of the expectation to live a nice life when all your friends are partying. No, we cannot. We used to wake up in the weekend early to go to the ripe market, collect the stocks. So it took a lot of effort to maintain a healthy relationship where there isn't much enough time for us to develop it. We started getting a bit more relaxed after 3 years when we started having a bigger team. And also other challenges came into the picture, where working together and being husband and wife and mixing different hats and who's managing what and at the home, bringing some of the issues at home. It was not easy, but I think we figured it out along the way. We're still figuring it out, but yeah, it's with time it comes naturally, but it's not easy at all.
what do you think is the secret sauce of maintaining that balance? What have you learned so far?
I'll tell you the things that you can do you can say on a podcast, but coming to life it's very difficult. But I will tell you what I think can help is to split between work and so if let's say we could be in a meeting. I have views, she has different views. She might have a view that the way I handled my reply to her views is not appropriate. So this will come to to the house at 6-7 p.m. and it's very difficult to split it. It's unreasonable because at the end it's your baby. It's like so much your thing. But as much as possible do that. Another thing we did that I think worked pretty well. It's funny and it's not, but you need to take some measures. So when we want to, we booked time for ourselves. So on the Outlook calendar, if you go, you will see, for example, on Tuesday, I have a meeting request from her from 7 to 8:30 for dinner somewhere. There is no much space for impulsive, let's go there. I have a reunion with my alumni at school. So that is, if you open her Outlook on Saturday at 10, from 10 to 11:30, it is booked there. So we book our time together. And at some time, you need to completely disconnect. We go on vacation. We cannot afford very long vacation, but we can go an extended weekend. And I think one key thing is that to split the responsibilities. Initially, you cannot, but now it's clear. She's managing the factory and the manufacturing. I am managing the operations. So there is definitely interaction, but much less than having.
What do you do? How is the deadlock resolved? Let's say there is a genuine opinion on the business, both passionately thinking about it, and there is a deadlock. Real deadlock, not really the fight of egos, but genuinely the fight of ideas and opinions and action. What is the resolution?
We go to the board. So this is how we solve it. I'm saying it should be red. She said it should be blue. I give my argument. She give her arguments. We feel 5 minutes from now we're gonna start fighting. We stop. From previous experience, we know that this is going into somewhere where it's going to be a fight. Let's go to the board. The first 5 minutes, okay, let's go to the board. There is a bit of tension, but then okay, fine.
What kind of board is that?
Like our senior management team.
Sure.
So we are 7 people. And this is also really good.
Are these external?
No. They are employees. So
okay.
we let's say the senior manager. We have 7 people, and they have extensive experience. So we go there and we present and we try as much as possible not to pitch which one's thoughts is, because then to reduce the bias.
Red pill or blue pill.
Yeah, we tell them there are 2 views. Which one do you? And then people. Of course, it's also difficult because from their side, they start to figure out, okay, is it Mazen's idea or Marcella? But as much as possible, we try to build a company, a structure, and not really, I never come, no, today we're gonna launch a banana pop. No, it doesn't happen like this. And I don't like it to be like that. So we try to structure even our discussions and our different views in a way that gets dealt in the multinationals.
But you were in a job until 2018, and then from 2019 to 22 almost, you said that you were moonlighting.
Yes.
The job was taken to make sure that you moonlight, right? So you have had, like, I will call it like parachuting into entrepreneurship, because you took the jump in 18. I'm sure. How scary was that, and how? So I generally feel that people, almost everyone, underestimates the change of emotions, the chemical changes in the brain the day you actually jump out of the window. Like, till the time you're on the edge, you have all the emotions, right? But when you jump, during the jump, it's a very different emotion. What was your experience in 18 when you jumped first?
So initially, I was...
Were you scared? Were you...
I was very excited. Again, we talked about it in the beginning, the foolishness of... and then, because when you are driven... So initially, I had some savings. So the savings give you some security. But then once you start every month saying that, irrespective of how much you have, if it is going down, this is not a feeling you are used to for the last, especially given my background. And, in Lebanon, it's all about security, because we lack security. Even when you start as a kid, it's very funny. So a regular discussion in a Lebanese family, we say, listen, you need to study well to get good grades so that you get into a good university, you get a good job, and you buy a house. So for us, buying a house is the ultimate dream, because this is for us is security. And who will marry you if you don't have a house? So, and look at your neighbor. You see the job he has. Now he bought a house. So it's like everything security.
That's very similar in India. I think
is it?
Very similar.
I was talking to a friend from Germany. She was telling me, no, we can live in a rented place. No, how come? No, you're not secure. No, we can live in a rent. You don't need. No, it cannot be.
I think the developing world versus developed world.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very different. It's a mindset thing, right? Because even in India, in the urban population, for example, I will even me, I never cared for that this was not making to my list because it was there. I mean, I was born in privilege, but then at the same time, the Indian mindset doesn't matter what privilege,
irrespective,
it's still there, right? It's still that you need to have these check boxes. But I can clearly see that it's changing, especially in the urban kids, right? Because those checklists don't matter anyway. But I relate to what you're saying.
Yeah, so then given all of that, UN starts coming down. What did you do, etc.? And also the discussion with your parents. Mazen, you are doing a very good career. Why do you want to leave? Are you sure? You have end of service, you have insurance. What are you going to do, etc.? But yeah, so that is a bit shaking. And sometimes you would convince yourself, no, it's going fine. So that was tricky. And especially like...
But that's before you jump, right? The day you start, you actually leave that job and you actually start, right? The day you actually wake up and realize, oh my, I really don't have an office to go and the shit is real. Like I'm on my own. Was that a transition period for you before you jumped to another job?
No. So it was not really driven, I'll tell you. When I was always very excited. I was like not really worried to an extent that to find another job. But I thought that with this new job, I can grow at a much faster rate. So it was more driven by fast forwarding this and having a partner that can handle well. And also the job was not that demanding in terms of... Because I came from a super demanding marketing company where I was trained like super efficient, and I went to another job. I was in marketing, but whatever, the requirement per week was few hours, and wow, it's amazing what you are doing.
Yeah, you were the Unilever OG.
Exactly. Like you raise your hand,
anything that comes out of your mouth is golden. So everybody's scared of touching you.
Exactly, and you use some few words like we need to drive penetration by increasing the brand equity.
I figured the kind of job you landed to do the moonlighting.
So then I could not have taken a job where I needed like in L'Oreal or Nestle, etc. So it was an appropriate job. So I said, okay, with this I can really drive things forward. But then it reached a place where at the end, if you are really driving the brand, you become the image of the brand. You cannot drive an image of, but you are not very confident that you have another thing.
Correct.
So this is where I stopped. But then still then, yes, we were a bit more advanced, but cash flow is everything in startups. And we had some very tough times. We still have till today. Because we keep reinvesting Correct. In the brand. And there is, I believe, kind of a tolerance that changed from people. I don't mind living on the edge. Other people, unless they have 4 months of covered expenses, sometimes I manage 2 weeks, 1 week. So it changes from one person to another. So we still have those moments. Because also until today, we did not raise any money.
Beautiful.
So it's all self-funded.
That's actually quite amazing. Absolutely amazing. Your wife, running the entire manufacturing. Did she have a background in that? What's her background?
Yes, she's from Costa Rica actually. We met in Thailand. Wow. She came to Dubai. We got married in Lebanon.
You met in Thailand?
We met in Thailand. I was on a business trip. She was on vacation there. And then
I love Costa Rica.
yeah, it's a beautiful country.
By the way, when you said her name, in my head I was wondering, is it a Lebanese name?
No.
It's not. Yeah, it's a
Marcela Sancho.
It's quite a Latin. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, actually, it's funny when she came from Costa Rica to Lebanon, first time to visit, on the custom control. They told her, which country you're coming from? She told them from Costa Rica. They said, no, which country? She told them country, like Germany, France, Costa Rica, man, that's a country. So it's something very, very far from where we are. People don't really know about it. It was funny. But she studied culinary arts. So she had not ice cream, but she has something for food, and she's very innovative. And she developed the entire range, and from scratch, like doing trial and errors. So her role was key in landing the products.
And how did you? So you basically made her a girlfriend and also recruited her into the business at the same time.
Made her a girlfriend. We got together in a relationship, let's say.
Tell us the truth.
Yes, the truth. Are you recording?
we can use it for a ransom.
Of course, no. So no, in Thailand, yes, no. I was there and I saw her and I said, "Wow, she's so beautiful." And I made the approach and we started talking to each other. And then she decided to visit one time, then another 2 weeks, then another 1 month, and we ended up.
She was visiting from Costa. She was flying from Costa Rica.
Yes, because she was going from Thailand. She was going back to France to work in a distant village to have an internship where she would learn how to bake bread. All right, with a family, like something like in Lebanon, you will be classified as a failure, man. Where is your job? Where is your insurance? Doing bread. it's very, very exotic for us.
For sure.
We don't have this, take a break. And so she was going there and she passed by. She stayed 1 week and we stayed in touch. And then the relationship developed. So yeah, she was my girlfriend. And then I proposed in Lebanon. And then we got married 1.5 years ago in Lebanon as well. It was beautiful wedding.
1.5 years ago?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, in July 2022.
Nice.
July, yes.
So you got a business before wife?
Yes, we were in business before wife. But it was funny, again, when she came. So at that time, I was living in The Palm, in Oceana, a very fancy place. And she came. After 3 months, we started the business. I left my job. We moved to JVC in a very tiny place. And I then took a studio in Al Kiwain to help set the factory. And she was, man, this is not the package I signed into.
Yeah, but you had to tell her, no, that that was marketing. This is the product.
Exactly. This is what you get. So it was a bit weird. But this is, again, I learned a lot about her, what is important to her, because any other girl who's not serious would have left. Like, man, no, I'm there. I'm not. So we stayed 1 year in JVC, then we moved to JLT, and then 2 years ago we moved again to Oceana, in the same building.
Oh, you're back.
We're back. It's been 2 years there, so it was a nice. But yeah, at some point you need to cut your cost. So yeah, it was a nice journey. We have a lot of memories on how we downgraded, then upgraded again, and yeah.
I think living on the edge. I feel that I think it's a drug. Mm-hmm. Like if you're a junkie, you're a junkie.
Yes.
So when you said that, it's not that. You've not raised funds. I can totally understand and relate the fact that, living on the edge also becomes a part of the experience. Although you're not trying that in your head, you're telling yourself, no. We'll of course get, little away from it. But then your ambition, kicks again. Where are you taking this? What's happening with the business now? What's not your plan, but what's the ambition?
Okay, so now I think after 5 years of operations, we are more confident than ever that we have something that can really work really well. So when I look at my management team, they are coming from Nestle, from Baskin-Robbins, from Unilever, from IFCO. So we have all the talents. We have a brand that's working. We have very relevant experience. Nothing stops us from really competing with all the big ones. We just need the right funding, making sure we have the right investment. But we are very confident that we can do it. And now it's about expansion. It's not about trial, error, etc. Now the entire proposition is there. So we are expanding. And three things are going to drive the business. One is building further the brand and expanding. Now we have only pops. We're going to have cups, bites, scooping. So the entire
I was about
range.
to ask that. Do you scoop right now, or are you planning?
Because 5 years we stayed with one product, and I think
Brilliant.
this is extremely important because you need to be sharp. Now that we say, okay, it's working, we are expanding on the brand. Second, footprint expansion, and through distribution contract and franchise contract. We have now franchisees in Saudi, in Bahrain, in
Already?
yes.
Nice.
In Saudi, we have an agreement to open for a master franchise, an LOI, initial agreement, to open 80 outlets in the coming 5 years. In Kuwait, it's happening soon. In Qatar also. So expanding through this geography can really drive the growth. And all the expansion or the investment initially, they are all fixed costs. This expansion is not going to cost us more capex, etc. So that's why we are living on the edge, but we know that now it's all about the top line. If I grow, if I will get 60% of it in my bottom line.
Sure.
So we are very excited about that. We are also seeding operations in Europe. I have booked for Sial in October 2024. We'll be also in Seagap in January for the ice cream exhibition, so that in 2-3 years when we are ready to expand, we'll have some information about the market, the performance, etc. So it's growth now, growth.
What's your barrier to having this kind of steroidal, distribution and growth? For example, do you need to put a manufacturing unit in Saudi, or do you where all do you need to do a manufacturing setup if you have to expand?
I don't need any manufacturer setup. The factory that we have established has ample capacity. It can produce 10 times more.
So you're going to transport it from here?
We are already shipping to Saudi Arabia. Now, for some reason, after some time, Saudi can become bigger, but at least for the coming 2 years, I have a good capacity here.
So the shipping cost is not really an impediment to this?
No. And we have high value item. So then, you can ship in a container, you can have around 80,000 pieces. And a value, let's say if it is at $5, this is almost $400,000 worth of products as a retail value. So yeah, all what we need is the right partners now in each place. So this is why we are excited. It just you do an agreement. Today I was telling you, I just came, we have signed an agreement with a local distributor, and we're going from 40 shops to 1,000. Our incremental investment for this is nothing. It's just about manufacturing the product. We don't need additional senior management. So we have, yes, our costs are now managed. We are on the edge, but anything from here should be good. Should be really good.
Why did you not raise funds?
Sorry?
Why did you not raise funds so far?
Raise funds so far. So as long as I am able to manage on my own, I would not consider that. We were able to get funds, but not equity. So one of the good things is that if you have shops and you have sales on your credit card, you can get loan on POS, and those are very low interest rates. And because of our volume, we were able to get funding from there. Now we would consider strategic investment. We don't look only at the money, all right? We look at how can this partner open things for us. And I think I would be more open to raising funds maybe in 2 years' time, because there are very low-hanging fruit. So I don't need now investment at a low valuation before I do my distribution. Let me do my distribution in the region. Let me open those shops through franchise that can happen very fast. And then you'll have a very strong valuation. And then I would consider additional things. It's tricky. I don't pretend that this is the right answer because I always have in the back of my mind the shadow of waking up one day, driving on Sheikh Zayed. I see Nestle, who just bought a startup, or they have launched 100% natural pops. and it will be everywhere. And I would hate myself, and I'll say, okay, are you happy? You want to keep your valuation? You are zero now because they have kicked you everywhere. But that's why we keep investing in the brand. And my aim is for all those multinationals, when they want to consider this, they'll say, you know what, let's approach House of Pops. They have already gone. So we're running as fast as possible.
You can be that star.
And I will be that thing. So yeah, you take some bets. You take some bets. Let's see. The future will tell.
That is absolutely brilliant, and I not only relate to that fully, but I love that absolutely. I read this thing long back somewhere. It said, if product is king, distribution is God. And I think and I think that's something that I'm in the tech business, I'm in the software business, but I can definitely tell you that my learning of last 10-12 years of running tech business, and I mean this business, especially tech product business, is that distribution solves all sins. Like you can make a lot of mistakes,
True,
and you'll get another chance. But
True.
if you have a great product and you don't distribute it, if you're not innovative about distribution, then you're screwed, because then your echo chamber, your loops, your feedback loops will become so short that you will start thinking about your own reality as the ultimate reality, while new markets, etc., are nothing but like breaking the echo chambers. Like you go to a new market, you can fail or you can succeed. But if you succeed, you're also going to get insights which may not be available in your home market, because home market had a lot of biases.
So true.
Have you experienced so far any market or any experiment where your bias got broken? Where you felt that, a customer is a certain way, or a product is a certain way, or a market is a certain way, and in the last 3 years or 5 years, you felt, hey, you know what? I was in this market all the time. I was managing ice cream business for Unilever long enough, but there are 1 or 2 or 3 new insights or feelings that have really changed.
Of course. I mean, we failed also big times on assumptions that we have built upon. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. So our product, because of the price point, appeals to higher SEC class. So we said, okay, you know what, the IFC is a perfect place, because all those people who are in the corporate, they want to stay fit, etc., their image would be perfect. So we opened a shop there. It failed miserably. We closed it. Although the rent was very low, we said we are going, and some of my people in the team, they told me, like, I don't think it will do well. But then it turned out that those people are our major consumers, but not when they are at work. Because at 5, everyone leaves. And then at night, they will order online. On the weekend, they will go and they will take their kids and they will only buy from House of Pops. But on Monday, at their lunch break, no, they are not in the mood. So then it's not only about your target consumer, it's about the moment of consumption of that consumer. So we had a lot of learning on these, and we keep learning by the day. So yeah, that's one example of something that we assumed, okay, I mean, be with your target consumer, but then at the right time, in the right moment, in the right place, not only like whatever they are. So
But how did you know that they were your consumers? And did you use that insight in some other way? Like, do you still, let's say, brand yourself somewhere around the AFC or like a similar place?
we know that because we interact, for example, in right markets, so this is a very much a place for people who purchase organic products, etc. And we talk to them. We understand also their social profile from the Instagram, from the LinkedIn, etc. So we know that they put, and also online, you can track where your orders are coming from. So around that area, Business Bay, the IFC, downtown, we get a lot of orders. But yeah, you need to be when they are working, they are not in that mood. Maybe also the product, maybe it's a popsicle. Maybe if we have cups, it might be a bit more feasible. So there are things. But one thing I wanted to comment on when you said that distribution important. So we track also the brand health pyramid, where we would understand. So it tells you how many people know about you, And then out of these, how many have tried you, and how many have ever tried you? How many tried you in the last 6 months, in the last 3 months, and who's who are the consumer that have House of Pops as their main brand? So what we figured out is that people know about us, all right, but a very small proportion have tried us. But whoever have tried us, the conversion is very high. Like they will be like 80% will consume it in 30 months, 70% in the last, and maybe 50% will be like that. So then the challenge is how can you increase your trial base? And by increasing your distribution, you will increase your trial base, and this will drive all the way up to the pyramid. So this is spot on what you mentioned.
Mazen, what do you do for your personal growth? How do you keep yourself nourished? Mental knowledge. How do you fill that gap for yourself?
So I have a couple of things I do. One, on the knowledge part, I found podcasts to be really a great way for knowledge. I think whatever you have also started is very inspiring, and I follow that as well. Also from the international podcast, I listened to almost all the 84 seasons of Business Wars. It's an amazing
Awesome.
podcast. I don't know if you had the chance. They would take two brands and they are fighting, and it speaks to me deeply. For fun part, because you need to disconnect. By far the number one is paddle. I'm an avid paddle player. I play 4 times a week. I just got a new racket yesterday, so I was so happy. And then it's very funny, like, I have been talking about this business since the beginning, how important is my baby. But if I have a game at 6:30, at 5:30, even if we are discussing the biggest deal, I'm out of the office. I leave. I tell them I'm sorry, because it's really extremely important for your well-being. And only on the court, when I enter for those 90 minutes, I forget everything. It's me and the ball and the competition. Everything is on my life is put on hold. I don't even care about House of Pops, about anything. I just want to play, and this is
That's zen. That's meditative.
it's unbelievable, and it passes like that. Yesterday, for example, we went from 8:30. We play in Danube. It's like this huge white club there. From 8:30 until 11, we were playing non-stop because no one was there after 10:30. So we continued. But it's amazing. The other thing we were just discussing, I've started developing a hobby for coffee, making dialing espresso, and it's very nice. I do it in the morning, and it's it's a routine, and it's nice. So those are the two things that really keep my health and mental wellness, which is extremely important. Mental wellness.
Mazen, this was a great conversation. There's a lot to learn. It's absolutely inspirational, and I think what makes it beautiful is that you're still at the start of your journey, but still far ahead from where you started. I am absolutely excited for what future holds for you and how this develops further. Thank you.
Thank you so much for hosting me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.